Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here on a Wednesday evening. I'm sure you have many other exciting things you could have done, but thank you for being here for me and for Dave Lim. Maybe just a bit of introduction to myself. I'm Daryl. I'm a poet, writer, and translator from Singapore. And this performance today is really a poetry reading of my book, Anything But Human, which is here. Anything But Human, poetry collection, accompanied by visuals produced by Dave over here. Dave is a photographer, filmmaker, visual artist, and also coincidentally my brother as well. And we have collaborated to bring you this, I would say, experimental reading and performance with Dave in some ways responding to my poems through visuals. And the visuals that he's using really utilize certain materials that he had rescued from oblivion, some photographic materials, and you will see how you'll see how he transforms that into visuals that accompany my poems. Okay, so I will read from this book, and I will start off with this sequence that is called "Fly Forgotten as a Dream," and in many ways, "Fly Forgotten as a Dream" is I would say the thread that runs through this book, because I wrote these poems as I was thinking about how to continue writing in what seemed to be an age of like destruction and a world that has lost the plot, that was rapidly heading towards destruction. And so I wanted to write about this state of affairs, but not directly, kind of obliquely. And so you can think of these Fly Forgotten poems as a series of dreamscapes, nightmares, that I'm trying to respond to. Maybe that's all I'll say about them for now. Let me start with the first poem of the sequence, Fly Forgotten as a Dream, Part 1. Entirely within expectations, the pigeons aggregate to an unkindness. What was dead air insinuates itself into a cyclone. Scrunched up tissues fall like snow on grass. There are stretches of walkway still in receipt of sunlight. We walk in circles until we reach the earth's squalid core. You ask me, what is the significance of mangled drink cans floating in the sewer? What is the import of the frangipani blooming without an audience? The water is ruddy with public opinion. On the feedback form, I shade in cells of my own invention. Part 2. We wake up with 5th generation antibiotics in our mouths. My skin is scaly with the pieties of the past. Everything we do is terribly ill-advised. Just yesterday, you brought home a pack of sickly biscuits. They taste deeply of the amnesia we've grown to love and cherish. I chance upon an old photograph of people eating around a banquet table. There is a suckling pig with cherries in its eyes. I find another photo of almost the same scene, but the pig has my eyes. The rain beats on my window with great urgency. At night, the bed is hot with the suspicion of meaning. Fly Forgotten as a Dream, Part 3. Making tea, I immediately gasp from the pour's intense malevolence. The screens are pregnant with the most arcane hieroglyphs. Entire departments are consumed by a virus loosed from a dead developer's archive. That cupboard hasn't been opened since 1993. Tiny black ants emerge endlessly from under the carpet like rioters scattered by tear gas. The head of department lies comatose, his nose sunk in a tin of crumbling biscuits. Always faint weeping in the background. New procedures and guidelines reproduce themselves with considerable ecstasy. A bird of prey smashes itself against the window and becomes a butterfly. I hold some water in my hand and listen intently to its remembrances of salt. I think when I wrote these poems, I was trying very hard to think of how to salvage meaning from, I think, language that had seemed, or a world that had seemed so filled with rubbish. The world physically is continuously filling with physical detritus and rubbish, but even more so in an informational media sense, where again, even more rubbish was being constantly generated. And if you think about it in those terms, what are these words set against that landscape? What is the point of writing them? And I think that sort of nightmare led to the creation of these poems. And I'll continue. Fly Forgotten as a Dream 4. Learning to love is cheap photocopy. New idiolects crystallize like jaggery on my tongue. Sleep, when it comes, is richly marbled and melts on my forehead. The cough caught in my throat flowers into a bulbous alien fruit. My notes say I last spoke my name 8 years ago. The blue fog unbuttons my shirt and leaves me parched by the roadside. I look in the mirror and see a pair of dice for eyes. My hair falls in filthy, bloodied clumps. Learning to love is cheap photocopy. Outside, the hammer joins metal to more unwilling metal. Fly Forgotten as a Dream 5. Of course, there will be a revolution. For this month only, the temple does exorcisms at half price. The men set up their stalls and bond over counterfeit aphrodisiacs. This page of the universe contains the highest mysteries of the universe. The other side shows they are out of Sichuan peppercorns and century egg. A crab crawls out of the boiling broth and becomes the commissioner of police. I fumble in my pockets for a knife and come up with a supermarket voucher from the 90s. A man with no ears serves me a dark, thick soup filled with viscera. There are drugs in my head, lungs, arms, nose, stomach, large intestine, ankle, Adam's apple, and heart. Fly Forgotten as a Dream 6. This is the playground of our nightmares. We dig and dig into the sand rich with flies and turn up some shiny, smooth disc of unknown purpose and origin. A man with no mouth is in the distance, his hands fused into a symbol of casual anarchy. We continue to dig. The sun shines smugly on the disc, revealing indecipherable writing. The man with no mouth says, "Tell me, dumplings, what the lines on my palm say about the next financial crisis, about the plausibility of total revolution, about our progress in breeding boneless chickens." We look at our own dirty palms and see our purple, swelling faces. Ignoring our protests, the man sets fire to his collection of canned meats. Our screams reach the next convenient suburb. and this is the last poem of the Fly Forgotten series, part 7. The land is furrowed deep with worry. The angsana trees are turning orange with pain. Between the sharp, mute cliffs settles an angry mist. Your face reminds me of a pile of bone-dry kindling. Plastic bottles strewn about us reflect your healthy nuclear glow. The dust in the air is what is left of the last civilization that went mad. I have no answers to any of the questions you had asked. The forest teems with gossip about the new junior minister for agriculture. In the background, sirens herald the arrival of a new age of deliciousness. You tell me to take out my microwavable meal and start the picnic. The Fly Forgotten as a Dream poems comprise the first part of the book. And in some ways, the first part of the book is a writing of myself to exhaustion. Or you can think of it or I maybe now see it as a writing of myself into exhaustion. And you write yourself into exhaustion, you write yourself into a dead end. You kind of have to find a way out of that dead end because you feel exhausted. You feel creatively spent. And I was thinking for a long time about how do I write poetry in this age where I feel so exhausted, but I feel like, what's the point of doing this? And weirdly enough, I think what stuck with me or what was a way out was translation. So I started to translate the poetry of this Tang Dynasty poet, Bai Zhiyi, who you might know or might not. But I decided to translate him in a strange way. If you look at the poems in the book, I played a lot with the idea of space. And you can see, you can't really see very closely, but I use a lot of space in the translation of his poems. The words are set apart, they're sort of scattered and torn apart. And I resorted to this because I felt like it gave more space to the individual words on the page. Because if you've read Tang Dynasty Chinese poetry, you would know that each word harbors a lot of significance. There are so few words, but each word harbors a lot of significance. And the way to replicate that in English on the page was to make people pause and chew on each English word a little bit more so they get a better sense of it. And so this really, I think, helped to spark this second half of the book, where I was playing with language in a much looser, gentler, less compact way, and that's how I think about the second half. And so I'll read as a tribute to these poems, I'll read the Bai Zhiyi translations of the second half. And I'll start with a very famous poem of his, Hua Fei Hua, which I've translated as Flower Yet Not. Flower yet not. Mist yet not. Arrives midnight. Departs daybreak. Like a spring dream, how long can this last? Vanishes, a spectre, never to be found. Another Bai Zhiyi poem, Feeling Sorry About the Peonies. Feeling sorry about the red peonies before the steps. By evening, just 2 dying branches left. Morning winds will surely blow them bare. Holding a light, I cherish the ebbing red. This is a very famous poem by him, which I've translated as Grass. Wild grows the grass on the plain, each year wilting and flourishing. Fires fail to consume them. Spring winds rouse them to life. Their fragrance overwhelms the old road. Sunlit green gives way to the grey city. Goodbye again, my friend. Like this plain, My heart is full. Night walk in the light rain. Out of the mist rise autumn clouds. Bit by bit, the night chill grows. All I feel are my damp clothes, not the raindrops and not a sound. Night snow. Stunned by cold pillow and quilt, the window flashes white again. Dark night, but I know the snow falls heavy as the bamboo snaps and snaps. In white cloud spring, clouds float free and waters idle. Why rush down the mountain and bring more ferment to the world below? Egrets. 40 and not yet utterly frail, anxiety makes nothing but these white hairs. 2 egrets by the river, unworried by the white strands dangling off their heads. Night rain. An early cricket chirps and stops and chirps. A dying lamp goes out and rekindles. By the window I sense the night brings rain. The banana leaves caught wind of it first. And the last Bai Zhi poem, called Moored at Night. Darkness on the riverbank, more alone than ever. Wet winds and frosty air. It is very, very cold. Looking back at the moored boat, amid the reeds, a point of light. I will now read maybe the last 2 poems of this performance, and I'll give a bit of a backstory, which I did at the last performance as well. And the backstory is with regards to the longer poem called Credo. And Credo in Latin means I believe. And this poem happened because of a challenge. My good friend, the Filipino poet and creative writing lecturer, Larry Yippel, read my manuscript, and he said, it's a very good manuscript, but you need to write a long poem. Because, as you can tell, all my poems are very short, because I have a very short attention span, thanks to social media and the depredations of this age. But he said, you need to write a long poem. Okay, so I said, okay, I will, as a good student, I will listen to you. I will write a long poem. And I barricaded up myself in my room for hours. I was parched, dying, and thirsty, but I have written the long poem that you had asked for. This is, of course, a dramatized telling of the story. But it's poetry, so it's fine. And then this poem made it into the book. But I think, I really thank him for giving me this challenge, because if I hadn't done it, I think something would have been missing in the book. He kind of diagnosed instinctively in his own poetic way, diagnosed what was missing or lacking about the book. And so this really, I think, comes in as a counterpoint. And if you think about the book is very ironic. It is very postmodern in many ways. And the thing about postmodern ironic is, people say that you don't believe in anything. So Credo is I believe, right? And Credo tries to answer the question of what do you believe in? And so Credo tries to answer that question, but not really, because of course, you can't answer anything directly anymore in poetry. But before that, I'll read this other poem called Age of Miracles. Well, actually, no, maybe I won't read that, because I read it last time. Sorry, I'm going to completely change my mind. I'm going to read this other poem called Where the Birds Don't Lay Their Eggs, which is a Chinese saying, 鸟不生蛋. Where the birds don't lay their eggs. There were hyenas in the park again tonight. The chill of the thawing Arctic licks my temples. Uncle who ran the sweet shop is now 3 cats in a singlet. In some districts, bird droppings are currency. Essential services are no longer. I am teaching those near death how to say August. We have all had the same dream of persimmons, taut and reeking of cinnamon. Instead of toilet paper, glossy pages of past economic growth. I keep getting up to pee again and again and again. The woman who died yesterday was the voice of the elevator. The river smells of upmarket insecticide. Give me your hand, young man. Your lifeline is out of my ken. Other things will also be no longer. Okay, and as promised, Credo, this is a slightly edited, family-friendly version. For the full version, you have to buy the book. Okay, because of the, there are kids around here, as you will have noticed. Credo. I believe in the slipperiness of mornings and the scent of freshly mown man. I believe in the freezer section, that bulwark, value pack upon value pack, of Japanese crispy chicken with seaweed. I believe in the glorious, heaving, finely muscled state, who sets aside designated ash-scattering lanes, lined with a bed of pebbles, which allow the ashes to percolate into the soil beneath. I believe in the air fryer. I believe in a God who doesn't know what he is doing. I believe in the Epipremnium aureum, the ubiquitous money plant, the devil's ivy, which refuses to flower, but grows recklessly, relentlessly, a strangling creeper, which will one day inherit our sodden, vacant world. I believe in the dead and their silences. I believe in the purity of hate. I believe in plastic, the sort that encases your heart and protects it from living. I believe when at last we are in paradise, it will still be possible to feel ennui. I believe in lust that keeps you awake, looking for new styles of rattan furniture. And especially now, more than ever, I believe in air conditioning. I believe in shopping centers where you may glimpse a version of yourself in a far-off mirror wearing Polo Ralph Lauren, 3 kids in tow. I believe in pork, the forbidden flesh, the greasy, crispy crackling. Perhaps so forbidden because so akin to man. I believe in not brushing my teeth to let the wretchedness really sink in. I believe beauty is a searing knife. I believe in globalization that washes up 28 new brands of lingerie. I believe in clavicles and cheekbones. I believe in fakes. I believe in the fakeness that burrows in your brain, spawning maggots of fake, which eat your body and metamorphose you into a factory of fake. High-grade radioactive fake, a pus-filled lake of fake. I believe in monosodium glutamate. I believe that death is the body's reversion to normal. I believe in silencing myself before they silence me. I believe in this land of perpetual discounts. I believe the old live on to tell us lies. I believe in the blank terror that leaves me gasping for air. I believe in the sun that will evermore envelop us until it finally hatches itself. I believe in the word that chews me and glues me back. I believe in the mute certainty of obliteration. I believe in the body's slow consumption of itself. I believe we may be the dream of an alien janitor. I believe in love. I believe in the program that will resurrect us almost perfectly. I believe that time may be a collective delusion. I believe that time might be intergalactic currency. I believe that time is running out. There was too much of it anyway. And as the handsome bot on my Facebook feed tells me, time is like a pig knife. Good night. Thank you very much. I can finally see the thing. I've not been able to see this thing.